All right, let's talk about this. This was probably the best election in a while for people who want Republicans to lose, and like in a twist for people in the sort of like left edges of the Democratic Party who want to sort of build have been working on building a more progressive wing of the party to hopefully like take over the party. I mean, I don't
Can
know.
you remember a off-year elections like this that were this partisan? Like, we know, of course, 2010 with the red wave and, even 2018 in response to Trump. But like an off-year election that is just basically uniform Democratic wins across the board. That's not a typical dynamic, right?
Outside, like, who won the New York mayoral in 2017? But 2017, the first Trump year, was pretty big.
That was second to
Democratic.
Didn't de Blasio, that was the second de Blasio.
Yeah,
Second de Blasio. Yeah, that rather forgettable election.
Right.
But so if you remember, like right after Trump, there was this huge, Women's March, and then 2017 and 2018, there was this huge reaction against Trump, but it hadn't really coalesced into like a vision for what the party would do if they took over. But now it's starting to come together a little bit. And like with Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey in particular, an interesting case, like the way she went after landlords who were like using algorithms to like collude. And she had this line that where she's like, look, I'm going to go after them. I'm declaring a state of emergency. I'm going directly at these landlords. My opponent will not, because he gets all his money from these landlords. Like that's it in a nutshell right there. That's the whole.
We played that clip, I think, and she used specifically affordability. And she mentioned about landlords, and there was another word. She used the word freeze in there.
Freeze the
utilities.
Prices.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Zoran won in June. In August, she's like, freeze the utility prices, which great. Like electricity prices are through the roof. Like that's smart.
And as a movement, like question, like that's at the end of the day, if the existence of Zohran Mamdani pushes the rhetoric and hopefully the actions really of these politicians, that is a good thing because it creates a certain momentum, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I also just want to say that when we were playing the coverage on CNN of Dana Bash really excitedly playing up the big wins by Spanberger and Sherrill, which, that's significant. But it's like the thesis they have is that, look, moderates can still win in overwhelming numbers like this. But they are completely discounting the fact that we saw swings for Latino voters and young people, and the latter of which I think are young people watching Zoran on TikTok and Instagram and getting more engaged in their politics, even if they're not in New York City. They're pretending like that's not a real thing, but Zoran's popularity has elevated races across the country, in my view. And there's no way to prove that, but that's just my thought.
It's for several years now, it's been embarrassing to be a Democrat or to say that you support the Democrats. It's like a humiliating thing to say in social circles, especially among young people. But Mamdani's making it cool. So I think there's something to that it's like he's showing a path that you can actually work within the Democratic Party, advocate, for something good against villains, and pull it off.
Let's talk about the sort of like second and third order implications of them. I mean, this is a second order implication, but there's more. One of the biggest losers outside of Andrew Cuomo and I guess Chris Cuomo and maybe a Greenblatt at the ADL and Bill Ackman has got to be Chuck Schumer. I mean, this is embarrassing now Like it was enraging before, but now it's just like completely embarrassing. We had already seen like some, I don't want to call it a mutiny, but we had seen people like Heinrich in New Mexico coming out in favor of Plattner.
Yep.
We had seen, I think, the same thing happening in Michigan, where the chosen DSCC, the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee choice, was getting sort of snubbed. But I think Adam Schiff was actually going out to, talking to Mallory McMurrow, not my favorite candidate there, but also not the
Haley
DNC,
Stevens.
Haley Stevens, who was the sort of establishment pick. And Schumer not endorsing this guy, and his non-endorsement meaning absolutely zero. This Schumer is sort of like a dead man walking in terms of his Senate seat. I mean, or at least that's the sense I get these days.
And he still hasn't said who he voted for, right?
He refuses to.
I mean, unless and every day it's going to get harder, because if he has to admit that he voted for Cuomo, as the stench around Cuomo just gets fouler and fouler, it's going to be that much harder for him to do. I had Mamdani on our program several years ago when he was doing a hunger strike for the taxi cab medallion issue. He was doing an inside outside thing with Schumer at the time. Like they were a pair. Like the two of them led that fight together. So Schumer is not like new to this guy. He doesn't know every single assembly member necessarily, but like this is somebody.
Well, Ryan, you can do the hunger strike with somebody and still not really know them deeply inside.
I guess so. Yes, I guess so. I don't think Schumer did the hunger strike, by the way. I think he was.
Well, you can see somebody do a hunger strike and not know them deeply.
But yeah, I mean, clearly he had a balancing act where he's trying to raise national money to run these Senate campaigns, and just from the pure political side of it, clearly he felt like it was going to hurt him in his efforts to do fundraising at the national level if he endorsed him or was campaigning with him. But at some point you have to show some level of leadership and just tell your donors, like, look, he won the Democratic nomination. I'm a Democrat.
What am I going to do? Right. What am I going to do? Like,
I'm not doing Cuomo. Like,
right. But that's where he's ill-equipped. This is the problem.
Yeah.
Like when we're, bless you, Matt, when we're like talking about how to rebuild the Democratic Party, the leader only being focused on fundraising from big money donors, and many of them are Zionists who are just outright racist about Mamdani. I mean, we have to be speaking about this in those terms. They are Islamophobic and they are racist towards him, and that is their attitude. This is hurting the party's brand in so many different ways that, like, it's also hurting their ability to be a durable coalition in opposition to him, because it's not just what Mamdani stands for in policy that is important. It's what he stands for in how you do politics, having volunteer armies, engaging voters that are non-traditional voters, and the whole infrastructure that builds up Chuck Schumer, the donor class and the consultant class, is invested in not doing that kind of politics. They're invested in ads and fees that are not about people power. It's about consulting. And so it's Chuck Schumer's inability to endorse Mamdani is indicative of him clinging on to an old way of doing politics that has destroyed us, that has led us to this fascist moment.
But it's also in his self-interest, in the sense that he could actually match the big dollar donors at this point with angry small dollar donations from Democrats across the country. You could probably exceed, what you're able to get from these, giant, $20,000 plate fundraisers that he does. But then who is he and what's his role?
Exactly.
Like the party that's funded by grassroots donors is not going to necessarily pick him as their leader.
Right.
And so in order for him to stay on top, he has to keep the old structure in place.
And it also, I think, sort of like it doesn't take many steps to sort of say, like, wait a second. Haven't we heard over and over again that these donors don't dictate what you do?
Right.
I mean, it's so sort of like basic that we forget to sort of just say that one question of like, there is no calculation that you can come up with where it doesn't make sense for Chuck Schumer to endorse Mamdani unless he is explicitly being told not to by his donors and has no ability, like you say, to push back on the donors and just say like, hey guys, I'm going to jam here. Yeah. Even at the end of the day, it's going to be better. I'm going to be a better tool for you if I endorse this guy than if I hang myself out on a limb and you're making me saw off the limb that you put me on. He doesn't have the ability to do that. I mean, this is like, it's not just sort of corrupt in a sort of, like a more general sense of the word. It's also just wildly incompetent. Like, do your corruptness well, buddy. That's what Andrew Cuomo was able to do in a lot of respects. Like, he built the whole IDC as a way of making it not look like he was just doing Ken Langone's business, and it made it more obtuse, I think. But Chuck Schumer doesn't even have the ability to do that, which I find fascinating. But let's also talk about like the more impacts from this, because, and not obviously just Mamdani's election, but the Democrats won, as far as I can tell, and still things are drip drabbing in. Like, I don't know, like the Moms of Liberty lost in every school board election across the country. They've lost all of them. Or, some board in, aside from the state board in Georgia, like you're seeing this all over the place. Yeah. Like they won everything. They can't find one loss. Yeah. And in the days before the election, there was a lot of reporting that there were 8 Democratic senators who were in the mix to cave on the shutdown. And just today, they scuttled another attempt by the Republicans to do it. And it seems obvious to me that like the size of this win is why the government is still shut down, because we can't come up with any justification. It's like the Democrats are befuddled by the fact that it's working.
Yeah. Yes, I think that a lot of the senators were running on fumes into the election, and were like you said, they were close to being like, okay, like we put up our fight. Time to, now the exchanges are open. We made our point. Time to open things back up. But with the election, and with Trump freaking out about, is he for affordability? Does he forget about affordability? Now he wants to get rid of the filibuster, but Republicans in the Senate don't want to get rid of the filibuster. And so Republicans are then actually kind of pressured to come to some sort of deal because they want to get a deal done before Trump forces them to get rid of the filibuster. Like, they don't want to get rid of the filibuster. They don't even have the votes to get rid of the filibuster. So all of this pressure from Trump to get rid of it is bad for them. They would like to move beyond that and get it done. Also, like, I still don't understand why Republicans won't just do it. Like, you're the party in power. It's going to hurt you when people are paying $4,000 a month for their premiums because you fought to make sure their premiums were $4,000 a month. Like, since when does Trump care about the deficit? It seems like just ego for him. He just keeps saying, I'm not going to be extorted. I'm not going to do it under pressure. It's like, well, okay,
well, he's deluded, okay. Ryan. I mean, he's literally
wait, you're asking why don't Republicans just do? Yeah. Why don't they just?
Because he doesn't care about the future of the Republican Party. This is like this whole second term was motivated by spite, a desire to stay out of prison, and like now that he's in power, he doesn't see a future. He knows he's dying, like at some point, he's up there, and he doesn't think about the future of the Republican Party, or thinks basically, I think, probably so highly of himself that if they just stay close to him, they can weather out the midterms. Or actually, it's probably this. They think that they can gerrymander their way out of it. And now his response to this is, let's go after mail-in voting, because he understands what this is going to mean.
Yeah. He also doesn't seem to mind when Republicans lose when he's not on the ballot.
Yep.
And he even posted about that a couple times. Oh, Trump not on the ballot, Republicans lose. Like he's sort of, because it feeds his narcissism and his celebration of himself to see Republicans suffer when he's not actually on the ballot.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.